Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Jyoti Mishra, Assistant Professor from the Department of English, Dr. Radhabai Government Naveen Kanya College, Raipur. This is my sixth video on Eugene O'Neill's The Hairy Ape, and here I'm dealing with scene number 7 and 8 and their analysis thereafter. Scene number 7 happens a month later after Yang's release from prison, when he visits the local International Workers of the World office and joins. The members of the group are initially glad to have him in their ranks, as very few of the ship's firemen have joined them. However, when he expresses his desire to blow up the steel trust, they take him to be a government servant and throw him out. In the streets, Yang comes across a policeman who shows his indifference and asks him to move along. Scene 8 takes place the following evening when Yang visits a zoo. Here he identifies himself with a gorilla and tries to sympathize with him. He sets the animal free from the cage and approaches it to introduce himself in a friendly gesture. The gorilla attacks him fatally, crushes his ribs, and throws Yang into his cage, where he dies. I come to the combined analysis of both the scenes 7 and 8. A dramatic turn of events marked the 7th and the closing 8th scene, where Yang is shown embracing his ape identity that he had earlier rejected in scene 6th. This new identity completes Yang's deterioration into an animalistic state, for the animal world eventually presents itself as his last hope of belonging. Yang fails to initiate himself into the International Workers of the World group because of his illegitimate plans of introducing a social change through a dynamite-like violent action against all the steel trade in the world. Thus incapable of molding himself in any human societal group, a dejected and disillusioned Yang is finally destroyed in his last attempt to befriend and belong to the animal group, where he is massively crushed and tossed dead by a gorilla in its cage. The character of Yang vis-a-vis social progress in O'Neill's The Hairy Ape can aptly be analyzed in the context of Hegelian dialectics, which means philosophy or reasoning or some kind of argumentation. Hegel, a renowned German philosopher, suggested that progress is a process where two antithetical or contradictory forces resolve into a new synthesis where these opposing forces are preserved. O'Neill in this play presents many sets of antithetical forces, but they reach no synthesis as the play resolves with the death of its protagonist, Yang. And death, obviously, is the antithesis or the direct opposite of the concept of progress. O'Neill thus deconstructs industrial progress as a means of social progress. Through the paradigm of Yang, he dramatizes the industrial worker being forcefully deteriorated into a primitive, animal-like state by the upper aristocratic class. He emphasizes how the jobs created by steel companies treat men like animals by confining them in one place and making them do just one task. In such a state of affairs, the poor have regressed to a more natural animalistic state, whereas the aristocracy, having ascended far above nature, have become artificial beings. Mildred and Yang, both representing the upper and the lower class respectively, seek to find synthesis, that is, a new resolution between the classes. The synthesis that they both seek in vain is embodied in the theme of belongingness. This search for belongingness, or the sense of not belonging, is the predicament of modern society. Cast into class identities from birth, one becomes the natural product of the culture one is born into. However, neither Yang nor Mildred identify fully with their societal class because they have inherited and not chosen them. In other words, they clearly do not belong or feel at home with their class because they did not join it. The hairy ape, by and large, is Yang's journey in his fatal search for belongingness, and O'Neill sadly exposes the impossibility of his task. Thank you.